So right now I'm currently waiting for a collect call from a women's prison. This is gonna be our first interview from a woman that's in prison. Make sure I got the brocha nice and brushed. How is everybody doing today? And welcome to You Have a Collect Call From. And today it's Friday. Friday. Let me see. Let me adjust everything. Make sure I'm good. All right, there it is.
This call is now being recorded. Link. You have a prepaid call from
Garcia,
an incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jeanette. So I want to go ahead and welcome you to You Have a Collect Call From. You're going to be the first incarcerated woman that's ever called in that I'm having the pleasure to interview. And I want to go ahead and give out a shout out to Thumper for making the connection, and highly appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So would you mind giving the audience a small introduction and who you are and where you're currently at?
My name's right now I'm in Chowchilla, Central California. It's Central Women's Facility. Up over here, upstate pretty much, far away from home. I'm from Riverside.
And at this point, at this point, how long have you been in prison?
I've been down 8 years already.
8 years. Wow, that's a nice little chunk of time that you've been in prison.
Yeah, and got 3 more to go.
And would you mind sharing as far as the details of your case? Not yet, but like what you're currently incarcerated for, what you pled out to?
So my arresting charges were murder with malice, street gang activity, street terrorism, I believe, and obstruction. But what I pled out to, I counter-offered a couple years into my case, was voluntary manslaughter, the 10-year gang enhancement, obstruction, and a gun enhancement. That's what I ended up taking. A couple years into fighting my case.
How many years was it that you pled out to again?
I counter-offered 15 to life.
Okay, so right now you're serving.
I was facing 60 to life, but I went back out to court a year after. I took my time, and everything got dropped to 14. So right now, as of my controlling case, I'm doing 14 years.
Okay, and so they removed you lost the life sentence then, right? Or you got the life sentence removed?
Yeah, they dropped the life sentence. They dropped the life sentence, and they dropped the obstruction sentence.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, for informing us on that. So normally, the first question that I like to ask for people that call in and share their journeys with us would be, what's your earliest childhood memory as a kid, whether it's, if it's a good memory or bad memory?
Earliest childhood memory, I want to say I was about 3 or 4, is coming home visiting my dad from prison. That's my earliest memory. If I was 3, my little sister probably was a newborn. Um, that's the earliest memory that I have is visiting my dad in prison.
Okay. Okay. So how
Not the
so
best, but
go ahead.
yeah.
So what's
I
your
said not the best memory, but that's my earliest.
yeah, that's the funny thing about memories, we can't control them, we just hold on to the ones, that stick out. So I'm sure it was huge, for you, visiting your father at that age. Um and how long after you visited your dad at that time did he come home from prison?
I can't remember. I just remember my mom always being.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I don't know if it was because he was always in and out of prison, but that's like my earliest memory. My second memory that I have was after we moved from Orange County to Corona. But I don't think he was in prison anymore. That was, I want to say, a couple years later. I was like 6 probably.
And how were your household dynamics, since your dad was incarcerated?
Single mom, always working. My grandma used to help a lot. I had older siblings, so I had my brother. He passed in 2012, and then I had my older sister. She took care of me and my little sister. So it was pretty much us raising each other since my mom was always working.
And if you don't mind sharing the ages of your siblings.
My brother would have been in his 40s. My older sister just turned 39. I just turned 36, and my little sister just turned 33.
Wow. So it was a total of 4 of you running in the household. What kind of things did you guys do growing up? Like as far as playing and
Um,
whatnot.
I remember me and my little sister always trying to stay busy, playing like we would be cooking and playing in the kitchen, trying to stay out the way from the adults. My older sister, she would play like she would be a secretary, and just little innocent kid games, trying to keep each other busy.
Yeah. Hey, Jeanette, can you do me a favor? Are you using like the headphones from the tablet, or are
Yes.
you on an actual phone?
No, I'm on the headphones.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I have the tablet right
Which I'm not sure if you're able, but can you adjust your microphone? I just got a comment from one of the viewers, and they said that it sounds a little bit muffled. So if you could adjust it, maybe so we could hear you a little bit better.
now. How about now?
It sounds good to
Is that
me.
better?
To me, it does, but
Okay.
sometimes people on they're on the real world, so it might be low on their end. So yeah, okay. He said that
Yeah.
it sounds better.
The quality of these tablets aren't the best. Yeah, they're not the best. The quality of the stuff that they give us here is pretty shitty.
Yeah,
But
you know
yeah,
what?
I'm on this tablet right now.
Do your tablets go down? Because I know in Centinela, the tablets, the Wi-Fi is really horrible, especially in the evenings. It tends to go down, where calls, you can't even
No,
hear each other.
yeah, no, we don't have that problem. In the units, there's certain hallways where we don't get good reception.
Hmm.
But for the most part, our Wi-Fi stays on.
Okay, okay. So I'm gonna draw you back to your to your childhood. So looking back at your childhood
Yes.
now, as an adult, what would you categorize your upbringing? Would you consider like a normal childhood, or were there any traumas or anything that occurred while you were a kid?
Well, um, we had a pretty normal childhood. My mom did her best. She did her best being a single Hispanic. Um, well, she became a citizen. I want to say she said in the 80s. Though me and my siblings are first generation here. We had a good upbringing, a decent regular Mexican household. Um, she tried to put her foot down. We rebelled as teens. We wanted to do our own thing. But our childhood, yeah, I think the coming and going with my dad, um, other incidents that we had.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Probably led to me going astray. But for the most part, my mom tried. She tried her hardest to keep us on the right path. It was a good upbringing, a lot of family. She had a lot of siblings. My grandma, we visited her every weekend. We made sure to be a tight-knit family when my grandma was around. But it was a decent upbringing. Even though it was just a single-parent household, I still consider myself very blessed because I had a very loving, very caring family. My mom, my grandma, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, and my siblings were raised together. Yeah. But I do believe after my grandma's passing, everybody did go their own ways.
And at what age was that your grandmother passed away?
I want to say I was 23. 23. That's when the problem started.
As far as like within your family or with yourself?
Within myself, I believe. By then, I was already with my baby's dad, ex-husband. We were 3 kids in already, but I really feel like after my grandma passed, like it was too much of a loss. It was too much of a loss, and having her as our second mom, having her do everything for us, my support. When me and my kids' dad would have problems, that was my go-to. And not having that no more, like it was a lot to take in. It was a lot to take in.
And what kind of things started occurring
and
once?
I want to say.
Go ahead.
Well, right after she passed, I want to say 7 months later, my brother was killed by a sheriff. Yeah. So it was event after event. I started using more. I had been clean for a while. Moved back home, try to make things work, try to keep my mom busy with my sons. But yeah, right after she passed, my kids' father went to prison for the first time. So he was always in and out of jail while we were younger. But right after my grandma passed, he went to prison. So that was another hard hit that I took, not having his support, not having my grandma, and then losing my brother, seeing the pain that my family was going through.
Wow. Man, I could hear the. Are you out like in the on the yard, or is that the day room? I heard like
on the yard.
on the yard.
I'm out on the yard right now. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have day room right now, so I'm out walking the yard.
Oh, that's interesting because I think at the men's prison they don't let them go out with their tablets.
Oh no, we have a lot of privileges here. I feel like the women's prison is a lot more privileged.
Yeah.
It's a lot more privileged. We pretty much do whatever we want. As fucked up as that sounds, we have a lot of leniency. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and let the males know that I'm pretty sure they're gonna be jealous once they hear that. That you guys.
Yeah, yeah. No, they say it's Chowchilla. It's not luxury living, but we're a lot more better off than the men's population.
Yeah. All right. So everything kind of started going downhill. Your grandma passed away. Your brother passed away. Your husband or boyfriend, or your baby's dad ended up going to prison. And what kind of things were you doing at that time? Were you working, going to school, or what kind of things were you doing in your life?
I was working. Yeah. So we had our first son when I was 18, turning 19. Then we had our second son right after. They're a year and a half apart. And then I had my youngest 2 years after. So we had 3 little boys. So by the time he went to prison the first time, I had no choice but to work. I didn't finish high school. I dropped out. I believe the not wanting to listen to my mom with her. She's traditional Hispanic, Mexican, from Michoacan, so was raised in Mexicali. Came over here when she was 14. So her ways, I didn't like them. So I started using at a really young age, really young age. And by the time that he went to prison, I started using more. I try to keep myself busy, being people call it a productive or a functioning addict. I try to keep myself.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
There you go, hiding my addiction. But I work up to 2-3 jobs at a time, trying to raise my sons.
Okay, and what kind of jobs were you doing?
All man labor, warehouse, forklift driver, did a little bit of construction. It was all hard labor. I didn't have an education, so I had no choice, settle for anything and everything just to get right.
So I know right now we're about we got about 15 seconds before it hangs up. So if you could go ahead and call back, and we'll go ahead and continue with your journey.
Okay.
All right. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me give you a call back.
All right. So I try to raise the volume a little bit. Hopefully, that's helping out with the audio quality. Unfortunately, these tablets that they use are not the greatest. The microphones are not good either. So I went ahead and tried to raise it up a little bit, and I'm almost over here busting out my eardrum. So hopefully you guys could hear. This would be the first call that we're receiving from a women's prison. This is going to be Jeanette, and we've been talking over the last few weeks and whatnot, trying to coordinate having her come on and her share her journey. So here we are today. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we weren't able to. Okay.
This call is now being recorded.
Is it going to connect?
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Garcia.
An incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California.
Chowchilla.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
So you might be hearing the alarm on the yard. The alarm's going off right now, so it's a yard down.
So
the best part of prison.
Yard down, man.
Yard down.
This is gonna be our first yard down. I think I've never heard one of those alarms go off before on these phone calls. So that's a different element right there that you're able to offer from the women's prison.
Yeah, it stays. We have at least 2 alarms a day. I live on Delta. I would say, the worst yard of the prison, the worst unit of the prison, 513. So the alarm stays going off over here.
So when the alarm goes off and there's yard down, an incident could be happening anywhere in the prison, and it'll affect pretty much everybody.
Depending. So we're connected to C yards. So anytime that C yard has a yard down or we have a yard down, both yards go down. But it can be a building, it can be a medical, it can be a fight. We haven't had a riot in a while. They tried to say August 2nd was an inmate and officer involved riot, but that wasn't the case. But yeah, for the most part, as soon as it goes off, we need to get down.
And do you have to fully like prone out on the grass or wherever you're at, or are you
Not
able to?
At all.
Okay.
Nope. We're able to squat down. We got the luxury of just squatting. The men have to get all the way down. We don't.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There it is. That's a perk,
So I know they're not liking that. Yeah. I know they're not liking that either.
Yeah.
I'm not getting dirty. Fuck y'all.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you back to, you had mentioned that you weren't educated, but you also mentioned that your mom was strict. So when it came to school, what was your mom's policy on you going to school and whatnot?
Or she would have a fit if she knew that I wouldn't go to school. I think I was the most troubled one growing up before my little sister hit her teenage years. So I didn't like school. I didn't like school. I didn't like going. Um, she was always at work, so there was times that I couldn't get away with it. But the times that she would know that I wouldn't go to school, it was a problem. It was um, it was a big problem in the household. That's what caused me to move at 15, I believe. Yeah, I moved after 15.
So you
I
moved
moved
up.
out pretty much.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
didn't wanna, didn't want, didn't want to listen to her. To me, like now that I look back, I see how hard she tried to give us better for us to have better. But for me, it was she was too strict. She was too strict. She wanted decent grades, passing grades, and I didn't care for school. I didn't care to be in school. And not that I ran the streets too much as a teenager, but just school wasn't for me. Too much fighting, too much not wanting to listen to authority, being told what to do. None of that was ever my way of being. Like I till this day I struggle with that. Having to listen to somebody, especially now that I feel like everybody says, "Oh, I'm grown." Not that I'm grown, but now that I'm older,
Hmm.
um, to be told what to do is like a big pet peeve of mine.
So at 15 years of old, who are you able to move in at that age? Who would take you in?
The street, the neighborhood, running around, friends.
So you,
That that's where that went. That's when I feel like I started running the streets a lot more, going to my what I call my sister's house. Um, we call her Mother Superior, Cynthia's mom's house in Casablanca. That was every runaway, every kid that got kicked out, anybody and everybody that needed somewhere to stay. That was our go-to, Cynthia's house. So that's where I spent a lot of my last from 15 to 18 years is living with my hood mom, pretty much.
and when you left your mom's house, did you have a conversation with her, letting her know that you were gonna leave, or did you just kind of just disappear?
If I remember, she would always say, if I didn't like it, ahí está la puerta.
Mm.
I don't know what kind of alarm that is. There's another alarm going off now. Alarm after alarm.
So
But yeah,
I'm
that was
laughing.
my mom's favorite saying.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that one. I know my mom told that to my sister a few times. So when I heard that, I started cracking up. So so you left,
Yeah.
and did your mom ever try to locate you or track you down to try to bring you back, or did
Yeah,
she?
she tried. She tried a couple times. She did her best to try to get me to listen, just come home. And no, I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I wanted to run the streets. By 15, I was into meth pretty hard. So that was another thing where I swore she didn't know that I was using, but a mother knows what her kid's doing at all times. So that was another thing that was a big argument with her. So she tried. She tried bringing me back home a couple times.
So during those years, those young years, did you ever have any contact with the police? Did you ever go to juvenile hall or catch any cases?
No, I've never been in trouble a day in my life till I caught this case. Shout out to Floyd, our neighborhood cop. He always made sure to run us off. If not, he was going to tell our parents if he saw us running around. Never had any running with the law. Don't get me wrong, my house was raided a couple times for my brother, for my uncle, for my kids' dad, but never for me. Never been in trouble.
And were
First
you
time offender.
Were you involved in any legal activity, and you were just fortunate enough not just to get caught up? Besides
Yeah,
the usage of
I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. I'm very, very blessed to not be doing time for other things that I've done in the past. I feel like life caught up with me with this case. A lot of us. It took me to be 28 years old to get caught up, but yeah, I could have been doing time for other things, for a lot of other things that I was doing. A lot of dumb shit that I look back at now and don't see the point of why I was doing the things that I was doing, you know?
and when you ended up ultimately catching this case, I read a little bit of the article, and somebody they lost their life. Um, when you woke up that day, did you anticipate anything like that, transpiring?
No, I didn't ever think something like that would happen. By the time I hit 28, I moved back from Texas, so around the time, I want to say 17 to 18, I started being with my kid's father. I had my son. We moved to Texas, so we were always bouncing back and forth. But even then, he was still in and out while we were out there. So I ended up coming back, I want to say, when I was 23, turning 24 for good. He had been in and out of prison. That was his second time. Or no, you know what? The year that I got arrested, he got arrested on his third prison term. So that made me spiral out of control. So he left in March. My case happened in June. And I had been for a while again. I started using. The day that the case happened, I don't remember that day. I don't. I tried my hardest to sit back and try to remember. And I was so drunk, so high, where I know my wrongdoings. I've accepted my responsibilities in what happened. But, I never in my life thought that I'd be here for something like that.
Okay, so you don't recall anything. When did you regain your ability to remember? Like how long after the incident happened?
Later that night, it was event after event, and I want to say by the next morning, I was at my sister's, Roseanne. I already knew what had happened, Never did I ever think a person was going to lose their life. I wasn't there when the case happened. I was convicted for the manslaughter charge for being the driver, but that wasn't the case. My car was involved. Still can't say what happened that day because I wasn't there,
Yeah.
But that it was an eye opener. And then, like 2 days later, after the case, being pulled over by Floyd, asking questions. Like I knew something bad was coming, The little involvement that I had was enough for them to come for us, come for me, what I feel.
And
my brother's passing. Yeah.
How did your name get brought? Did somebody bring your name up, and or was it because they got the license plate on your car, or how was it that you got involved?
Let me see. I want to say the case happened. I ended up moving to Vegas. Came back, but while I was in Vegas, I had a few people send me the video of the car, the news clippings of the car, of my car being on the news, ABC.
Yeah.
And then the Press Enterprise. them looking for my car. But
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
what I thought is that they had repoed the car. But no, they had picked up my car, and they had it in evidence. But our phones were tapped for a couple of months. So till this day, I don't know how it came about where I got thrown in the mix. But when they had the car, that's how I think they were able to ask for the wiretap. Yeah, so our phones were tapped for a cool minute, for like 4 months, I want to say.
And was anything incriminated said, heard or said on these conversations when the phone was tapped?
No. What I feel, anybody and everybody that would try to talk about anything to me, I'd either hang up or don't talk to me about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Plead the fifth, pretty much. So I want to say I came back from Vegas. In September of that year, and my little sister picked me up from the Greyhound, telling me that they had raided my mom's house the day before. So that's how I knew they were looking into us too. They started doing little roundups, I guess, raiding here, raiding there. Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't think they were after me for whatever reason. I never crossed my mind that, hey, I'm on the radar, even though they did have pictures, videos of the car. For whatever reason, I was going through too much, and I was so heavy into my addiction that it didn't register till I got arrested. Like, okay, you're getting washed up.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I know earlier on you mentioned that you had children. Where are your kids at during this time? That you moved to Vegas, then you go back. Are they with you or are they with your family?
They were with my mom. I knew what had happened, so I had left my boys with my mom. Tried to tell her I was going to rehab. I tried to go to rehab, but other things happened where we just ended up falling off, and she ended up keeping my boys. So they were, through this whole process, they were with my mom up until 2 years ago. Now they're currently in Texas with their grandma.
And if you could call back, it's about to hang up.
Yes, I'll call back.
All right. So this is gonna be Jeanette. She is calling from a California's women's prison. She should be calling us back in the next moment or two, and we'll go ahead and continue down her journey to where she where she currently sits in prison right now. I think she mentioned that she has about 3 more years left before she's able to come home, her parole. And if you have access to our YouTube channel, I'll be adding this interview to that stream, and I'll go ahead and add some of the news reports and whatnot for those of you that want to follow up.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
5.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Yes.
All right. So, earlier on you had mentioned that you had got pulled over, like 2 days after the incident by an officer.
Yeah.
What was the reason that they pulled you over?
Well, we didn't know at the time that they were looking into the car or my co-defendant's car. So I believe, it was just to test the waters with us. There was no reason for him to pull us over. We had just picked up the kids from the neighborhood school, and he flipped the bitch, came right next to us. I was driving, and I already knew it. I felt it in my gut. He just pulled us over and pretty much smirked, told us what we were doing, like where were we heading, and I feel like it was to let us know that they're on us. But I can say that now looking back. At the moment, I just thought they were just fucking with us. That anybody and everybody in the neighborhood was getting stopped. But no, it was pretty traumatizing, not knowing if I was going to be arrested in front of my son, in front of my nephew, not knowing like what was going to happen. Got home, prayed, and gave God thanks that at the moment I thought nothing. That it was just something regular. It was something regular, but I really do feel like they knew something. They just didn't have enough that day.
And then, did you get pulled over in the car that the crime was committed in?
No. I left the car to a cousin of mine and told my cousin pretty much, if you want the car, you can take over the payments. Didn't explain nothing. Just my excuse was my kid's dad got me the car and I don't want it no more. We're broken up. He's going back to prison. And here you go. Stopped talking to my cousin. He was always working. So one day he calls me and he's like, hey, Jeanette, I think they repoed the car. And I'm like, oh, well, if you didn't make the payments, that's what happened. Little did we know that it was the police department that had picked up the car. I had GPS in the car.
Yeah. And how long after the incident was it that the car disappeared?
I want to say within the month. A couple of weeks later. Yeah. I would call the dealership thinking that they picked it up. Still didn't know that the cops were the one that had it.
Mm-hmm.
Was oblivious to it until the day that I got arrested. The day that I got arrested, I was told that they had the car the whole time.
So how long after that you came back from Vegas was it that they picked you up?
Well, the day that I got back from Vegas, since the phones were tapped, they were waiting for me at the Greyhound. They let me get in my sister's car. They followed me for a whole week. And I had came back from Vegas because it was going to be my oldest's birthday and my youngest's birthday, October 7th and October 2nd. So I came back under the excuse of I'm going to celebrate the boys' birthday. But I was really trying to get away from my co-defendant. Things had gotten really bad in Vegas with him. So I want to say within the week they arrested me. They said that I knew they were following me. We had taken the boys to Shakey's for their birthday. They followed me the whole time. Right after Shakey's, we went back to my mom's house in the hood. They were parked in the corner. Just under surveillance. They said that they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it in front of the boys, and they wanted to give me some time to spend with them because I was looking at all day. So that's how that happened.
So when they picked you up, what was running through your mind? Because you said, I mean, you said you weren't involved or you weren't there. So did you even suspect that they were going to pick you up?
I had a feeling. I was in an abusive relationship with my co-defendant, and I felt it in my gut that we were going to get picked up, and whether I was there or whether I wasn't there, I wasn't going to say anything. Certain things had happened that made me want to get away from him, and I just knew. I knew, like I felt it. I don't know if you know that song by Beanie Siegel. I could feel it in.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That whole music video, that whole song, is how I felt the day that I got arrested. Like I want to say I saw the boys on the 7th. That was on a Saturday. On Sunday, I tried to see them again, but my mom was upset with me, and she told me no because she knew they were looking for me. I wouldn't give her an explanation, wouldn't tell her nothing, just don't ask questions. I'm not going to tell you nothing. Stop talking to me. I don't want to talk about it. type of attitude, and she didn't let me see the boys. So come Tuesday night, going on to Wednesday morning. No, you know what? How I knew they were looking for me. I had got a job as soon as I got here. I've always tried to maintain a job, whether it's in sales or warehouse. The week that I got here, the end of September, I applied at an agency, and I didn't have any warrants, didn't have anything. Come Monday, on the 9th, she calls me and tells me, "Hey, Jeanette, I have to let you go because there's a warrant for your arrest, and I don't want them to run up in the warehouse for you." So, like, for 2 days, I kind of knew that they were coming already. And, yeah, come Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I was living in Riverside with a friend of mine, childhood friend of mine. We had got in the apartment. I managed to get myself back on my feet those 2 weeks that I was here. Got a little side job, got the apartment, was working the whole time up until that Monday, because the staffing agency was scared, and she never told me what the warrant was for.
Mm-hmm.
She just told me she had to let me go. Yeah. So come Tuesday, yeah, I popped a couple of Norcos, tried to go to sleep, had an uneasy feeling, and sure enough, my friend comes to the door, runs to my room, and she's like, "Jeanette, the cops are here." I'm like, "Fuck it." There it is there. To be honest, I was relieved. When they came. I felt like I was just tired of running, you know?
Yeah.
I knew something had happened. Exactly what happened, I didn't know. But I was just tired of looking over my shoulder because I always felt the phones were tapped. Not because of my drug use or anything, just past experiences that I've had. So I hated talking on the phone. But I would tell everybody, like, "Hey, I'm going to enjoy it and see how far it goes." But the day that they arrested me, I was relieved. I really was. Never did I ever think that I was facing those type of charges. But, yeah, that was the rude awakening, is when I got booked.
So they pick you up, they took you down to the police station, and they're providing you with any information as far as your charges, or are they leaving you out in the dark?
No, they left me in the dark. They wanted to know what I knew. They had me there for hours, for I want to say from 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. I'm pre-diabetic. I was diabetic with all my pregnancies, so borderline pretty much. They didn't give a fuck that my sugar was low. They didn't care that I had a migraine. They picked me up literally right out of bed, so I didn't even have undergarments. They just gave me a random jacket, some random slides, and took me and kept me for hours. They really tried their hardest to get me to say something, and that I didn't know the charges till Riverside, man. They put an undercover to try to get me to talk to her. And I just knew something about her was not right. And they know that I'm a mom. They know that I love my boys. Pretty much single mom since their dad was always in and out of prison. And they try to get her to tell me some sob-ass story that she was getting arrested because she was shoplifting, but she wanted to know what I was there for.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked it up like, damn, you guys are really trying to get me to say something. Like, I don't know shit. I know whatever the fuck you guys know. Not to try to sound like a hard ass or anything. Like, I just didn't give a fuck to talk to them. And they just kept coming at me, talking shit. My brother was killed by a Riverside sheriff, so they brought that up. They brought up my mom. They tried to use my kids against me for hours. Telling me to be thankful that they gave me the chance to say bye to my boys because I was never going to see them again. They're little tactics, but they saw that I wasn't budging. So around 1, they threw the paper at me and showed me what I was getting arrested for. Yeah, that's how that went.
And when you saw your charges, what do you recall what was going through your mind? What was your reaction, if
I
any?
laughed. I laughed. My reaction was to laugh at them. Like, you guys gotta be kidding me. You guys gotta be kidding me. It wasn't like, I don't know.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I didn't feel like I was gonna get those charges. I know how the system works. I knew a thing or two for going what I went through with my kids' dad. Brian, childhood friends getting washed up, just a bunch of stuff. But I laughed at them, and that made them more mad. That made the two detectives even more mad. Mind you, I've never been on gang file, never been on anything that they knew me. They knew a little bit of my family was due to my brother's case. And then my kid's dad. That's something that they threw in my face a lot because he was in Centinela at the time. So they, for whatever reason, thought he had something to do with it, but he was oblivious to everything and anything. He had no idea. He had no idea of what had transpired. And when he would call, I wouldn't talk to him about it. I would just tell him, you know what, if I do go away, I'm going to go away for a minute. But never did I ever think I was facing 60 to life. Yeah.
And earlier on, you mentioned that that you had never been in trouble and before, like as far as being arrested and whatnot. So now you're entering the this county jail. What's that? What's that like? What kind of how shocking was it?
It was the way that I was treated is what was so pretty much mind-fucking to me. How by my appearance, I was judged off the top. By my charges, I was judged off the top. There was a lot of things that was done to me that I didn't know weren't supposed to be done. So I was just like shell-shocked, I guess. I've never been in trouble a day in my life at all. My husband, we had the house raided 1,000,000 times. For my uncle, my brother, him. So just seeing all that, like trying to get a feel of it was like, fuck, I never thought I'd be on this side. Like, he made sure for me to never get in trouble. We always felt like one of us had to be out to raise the boys. And it was always me. It was always me. Besides me, my addiction, by the grace of God, I never got caught up with any of the other things that I used to do. But it was hard. It was hard to be belittled, to be dehumanized by people. Just here, what I feel is like innocent until proven guilty. That's not the case. They treat you as...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And a lot of it is by looks. By looks, I believe. The way that I look played a big role on how I was treated when I arrived to county jail.
And how hard was it to get adjusted into that environment? I know we got about 30 more seconds before this call gets disconnected. So if you just want to call back and then answer, that'll be.
Yes, let me call back real quick. Yeah.
All right, cool, for sure. Thank you.
Call back real quick.
All right, thank you, Nikki Marie. Appreciate the likes, the hearts. You are watching. You have a collect call from where we take collect calls from prisons, California prisons specifically. Today would be the first call that we're taking from a women's prison. So I had asked previously if anybody knew somebody that was in a women's prison. One of our viewers, Thumper, made that connection. So shout out to Thumper for connecting me here with her friend. And I definitely want to ask her a lot of questions in regards to a lot of things that are happening in the prisons right now. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but now they house men that identify as women in the women's prison, and these are men that still have their family jewels intact. And now there it is. The prison phone is ringing. Let's go ahead and pick it up.
This call is now being recorded.
Link. You have a prepaid call from
Garcia.
an incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
All
So
right.
what was the question again?
Oh man, Jeanette, I got the attention span of a squirrel. Let me try to dig deep into my memory banks over here. It was I think I asked you about how was it? How hard was it to adjust to your new environment?
Man, it was depressing. I was already kind of used to not being around my sons because when the case happened, like a week later is when I gave them to my mom. I tried to go to rehab, try to get my shit together. So that was from July to October. I was already away from them. So I think it was a little bit easier. It was just hard knowing, like, fuck, I might be here in a minute. I might be here in a minute. I slept a lot. Can't remember. I can't remember how long it lasted for me to be housed. They took their time. They made it a point to fuck with me as soon as I got there. So it was hard. It was hard. I had GIU pull me out a lot. Still try to talk to me. Give me a second. Yeah. How dirty it is. How dirty and nasty jail is was really another stressor. Like, fuck, I really gotta be here. Really gotta be here. It was an ugly feeling.
Did you ever have any moments like when you would wake up and you were like, shit, I'm in jail. I'm really here. Like I'm not free.
Yeah, a lot of those.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I remember when I first got there, one of the girls, I had called my mom. As soon as I got there, I called my mom. I thought she knew. I didn't know that it was plastered everywhere that they arrested us. So she accepts the call, and I tell her I'm sorry. I'm in jail. Like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. You're going to be fine now. Now I know where you're at. That was her biggest concern, was the not knowing of how I'm doing, if everything's going to be okay. She lived in a lot of fear after my case happened, especially me leaving her in the dark and not explaining to her and not having that one-on-one, like, hey, I fucked up. Something happened. I don't know, but something happened. I didn't give my family a heads up. It was just from one day to the next, pretty much. Hearing how broken she was, but how at peace she was, to know that I wasn't fucking running around, that I wasn't on the run, pretty much. She was okay, so hearing her was okay. When I told her my arresting charges is when it was really hard. It was really, really hard for her. The girls in the holding tank asking me if I'd been in and out before, told them no. It took them like a couple of days to house me. When I finally got housed, I knew how to make a mattress. I knew all the jail stuff because of my kids' dad. Mm-hmm. So they're like, hey, I thought you said you'd never been locked up before. No, but I've been with the jailbird all my life. So I know the ropes, you know?
Yeah.
I know the ropes. It was easy, like, getting into the jail lifestyle, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. Common sense, even though common sense isn't so common in this motherfucker. It was interesting.
And this was back.
But I've adapted.
Go ahead.
Monday.
So
I adapted real easy.
Yeah, I could. I mean, when you got no choice, yeah, your mind will definitely, help you with that. But you've been down since 2017, right?
Yes. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, yes.
So at this time,
17.
how old?
7 years. You're 2 years, 7 years.
Okay, yeah. So at this time, how old are your kids at this time? 7 years ago.
Man, my baby was 9, turning 10. My child, my oldest is Michael. He was turning 10. They were 9 when the case happened, 7 going to be 8, and then 5, 4 turning 5, I believe.
So they were
now
young.
have teenagers. Yeah, they were babies, especially my youngest. My youngest son is the one that I feel has had it the hardest. My oldest two knew what it was to have mom there all the time, dad every other 2-3 years when he wasn't in prison. But my youngest is the one that I feel has had it the hardest because we were both locked up.
Man. And so what now he's like a teenager now, what, like 13, 14, the youngest one?
Yes, he's 13. He's 13. Yeah, my youngest is 13. Yeah.
So
13, about to be 16, and then the 17-year-old.
Man, young, they're about to become young adults.
Yeah. It's been hard. I think that's what's been the hardest is accepting the fact that I have to be okay, knowing that they're pretty much raising themselves. My oldest son plays dad to my youngest two. He's a hardworking teenager, really hardworking teenager, maintains a full-time 80-something hour fucking job a week if he could, 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. He provides for his brothers. He took the responsibility of being dad pretty much after I got arrested, since their dad was still in prison and I was going away. But I'm very blessed, very blessed. They never wanted part of the lifestyle. My oldest son says that he sees how me and my husband were. My middle son says that he sees what addiction's done to me, makes him never want to use. And the baby, my youngest, he just rather not talk about stuff. But I feel like I'm blessed that they didn't turn out to be nothing like me or their dad.
And do you keep in touch with your kids? Do you get any visits or phone calls, letters, or video visits?
No. I call a couple times out of the week. My oldest son, Michael, barely started talking to me this year. I think he took it the hardest, me being gone all this time. But Josiah and Richard, my youngest two, I talk to them a lot. When Michael's not working, we talk. We have a better relationship this time around. He tried, but for a while he was upset with me. I refused to let my mom come and visit me with them. I always felt like with their dad, I didn't take them to visit him because of what I went through as a kid. The not being able to bring their dad home, even the county jail visits were really hard to do with their dad. Having to go home, the ride home, them crying, why isn't dad coming? I didn't want that with my son. They moved to Texas 2 years ago, so I feel more at ease knowing that, okay, now they're really not going to come. I wouldn't want them to see me like this. But I talk to them a lot.
That's good.
They're still my motivation. All these years later, they're still my motivation.
So let me put you back to your being incarcerated. So you're there. You go to your first hearing. What's that like? You've never been in trouble before. Are you understanding what they're talking about in court? Because a lot of times they're using words, and I've been in court before, and like what they say, like I don't understand.
Yeah, well, my first it was funny because when I first got arrested, I had no bail. So I thought that that's good. I thought like, okay, well, the family doesn't have to put nothing down, nothing, mind you. I've never been in no situation like this. So then I talked to somebody and they're like, Jeanette, no bill is a bad thing. So by our arraignment, for whatever reason, got postponed. By the second one, when I found out that they were doing $1 million, it was kind of harsh. I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Like, I told my mom, you know what? She was ready to put her house down. She was ready to do a couple of things. I told her no. I said, I'm going to fight it. Get me an attorney, and we'll see. Because it was a high-profile case, and it was bad charges. I feel like they stretched our court dates out. They stretched them. And the first year, like, I really didn't have no contact with my attorney. And he was, at the time when I had got him, he was supposed to be a family attorney. He had gotten my sister out of some trouble. He had got my kids' dad some less time. So I thought he was pretty much looking out. And a year into my case, he dismissed himself. My case was the first case he ever had picked up with a murder charge. So he was never supposed to have my case. So I was left in the dark for about 2 years, not knowing anything, having people step in just for the day because they couldn't figure out what was going to happen with me. My co-defendants, one had a public defender, so it was a conflict of interest, so I had to get a state appointed. While that happened, it was just people standing in. Nobody explaining to me what the fuck's going on. Nothing. So I was left in the dark for about 2 years like that, the not knowing.
And at that time, were you pushing? Were you pushing for a trial or taking a deal? Where was your mind at this time?
At that time, I was just going with the flow, with whatever my co-defendants went with, and that's what it was. I was numb. The first couple of years, you would think that I would have gotten sober. Being in county, no. I think being in county, I was my highest I've ever been. So I would just, whatever, what did they call it? Well, they would tell us, okay, we're going to stretch it out. We'll be back in a couple of months. Whatever they said, okay, whatever. Put me back on the bus so I can go back and get high. That was my mindset. I had told my sister, and another reason why I didn't like my mom visiting me is because she saw me at my worst. She saw me in my addiction. And I would tell her, like, I'm facing all day. I don't know why you guys think I want to do this sober. So I can't remember a lot of it. I can't remember just going with the flow until I finally got a state appointed a couple years later. And then being told, the whole time I thought I was facing, I want to say 25 to life. And then when I got my new state appointed, being told it was 60 to life. Was when they got really, really, really harsh.
And at that time,
that's when I offered. At that time.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So what brought it up to 60 to life? Can you give us a breakdown of the charges that were coming at you in court?
Okay, so 25 to life for the murder, 25 for the gun, I believe, 10 for the gang enhancement, and it was 4 arresting charges, but it ended up being 3. I don't know what wasn't able to stand. I can't remember, but it was those 3 charges: 25 to life for the murder, 25 to life.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And then 10 years for the gang enhancement.
For a total of 60 years to life.
I didn't have that explained. Yeah, I didn't have that explained to me till a couple of years into the case. Since I never had a proper attorney or somebody what I thought was fighting for me tell me anything. Yeah.
Okay. So how many years in was it that your case was concluded, and what was the outcome of your case? Did you take it to trial? You took a deal? And I know we got about 20 seconds before this call hangs up. So if you want to call back and answer, we'll be
Yes,
waiting.
can you call back? Yes, I'll give you a call.
All right. So you're tuning in to You Have a Collect Call From, where we take live phone calls from California penitentiaries, prisons, jails, or whatever. Today would be the first time that we have an incarcerated individual from a women's prison, and she's going through her journey. Right now she's sitting in county jail. Well, as she's sitting in prison, but the point of her story is, she's in county jail, waiting for the outcome of her case. And right now, when she calls back, then she'll give us a breakdown of what ended up happening with her case, and then we'll go into her prison journey.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so what was the question again?
So, so how long did it take, for you to figure out, what the outcome of your case was going to be, and did you take it to trial, or did you end up taking a deal?
So I remember the day that I met my state appointment. He had told me it was a 60 to life, and he wasn't even my attorney for 15 minutes. When I had asked him, so are they offering anything? And he told me, no, they want you to get on the stand. I told him, oh, that's a no. That's a no-go. I told that to my previous attorney. I'm going to tell that to you. So what can I counter offer? By this time it had been, I want to say, 2 years into the case. 2 years,
2019.
Yeah, 2 years into the case. Yeah, 2019. And he was real sarcastic. Shout out to Ryan Markson. He pretty much told me, if you don't get on the stand, you're going to lose that trial. So I had told him, what can you counter offer? These couple years into me being in there, I had asked around, like, hey, so what can I do? I had talked to my ex-husband on the phone a couple times, and he would always ask me, well, what are they offering? There was never an offer for me. It was take it to trial, get on the stand, get time served, and go home. And that was never an option for me. He had told me the counter offer with the type of charges that I had in the time that I was facing was 15 to life. So I took it. I took it right then and there, 15 minutes into him being my attorney. I didn't have no more fight in me. I felt like he wasn't going to fight for me. I've already been railroaded by other situations with my attorney, taking off with the money, telling me that he couldn't represent me no more. And then just life hitting me hard while I was in there. So I counter-offered 15 to life. Took a plea. That was, I want to say, in July. Went back in August. Signed for my time. And he had told me, he's like, they're willing to let you go on time served if you get on the stand. And that was just never an option for me. I feel like, not just from the lifestyle that I come from, but it wasn't gonna be on my conscience why somebody got life or the death penalty, because our max exposure was the death penalty. So this is before California took the death penalty off the table. I wasn't gonna live with that. I didn't feel like that I still to this day don't feel like that's right. So I counter offered the time. They took it. Um, I want to say with the plea bargain that I took, it's what made me separate my case from my co-defendant, and it went from there. It went from there. I was sentenced in October of 2019.
Hey, you know what?
For yeah.
I think a lot of dudes, they would have folded under that type of pressure. They would have took the stand real quick to get that time served. So you're definitely a different
You
breed
know
for.
what? I had, and being a woman, being a
Yep.
first-time offender, I had the guys in the GP section like, hey, Jeanette, mind you, this isn't my lifestyle being in and out of jail, not knowing who these guys are. Everybody by this time knew who I was. And like, hey, Jeanette, no, fuck that. Take it to the box. And I look at them like, oh, you guys have me fucked up. Like, I'm not taking that chance. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. But that sits in the back of my head, like the guys being mad, like, what the hell are you doing? Shoot it. 15 to life compared to 60 to life, shoot it. I just wanted to get it over with, you know? Like, I'll be home one day is how I felt like I was looking at things.
So you take the 15 years to life, you know, the judge reads off your sentence, you know, what's going through your mind?
By the time that I was going to be sentenced.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
By the time I was going to be sentenced and everything, I was in my addiction really bad. And I remember then my whole situation just played out weird and janky. Like, they did a closed court to where they didn't want the public to know, I guess, I was getting sentenced. It didn't make sense to me. Like I told you, I'm a first time offender, don't know a lot of this stuff. But they wanted to close the courtroom that day, and I didn't understand why. Later I found out it was because they sealed my declaration of pretty much me saying that I was guilty of this, that, and the other. So when that day came, my attorney was really upset that I had my friend show up to court because they had only given me permission to have my mom and my son. But when I had told my mom if she can bring the boys so I can, well, you guys are about to hear the staff fucking with the inmates right now.
I can hear, yeah, I hear somebody screaming in the background.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me pass that by. The staff likes to hassle us every now and then. But yeah, when they read to me it's a course declaration, because what they put down as to what I was pleading to was not the case. They put me down as being the driver. It just the way the whole thing played out, like I just spaced out. I couldn't believe it. Like my friend Alicia had walked in, and my attorney looks at her and she's tatted. So he's like, "Oh, that's for you," and starts talking shit. Like, nobody's supposed to be here. And it's like, hey, my family didn't show up. That's the only support that I have. I'm getting washed up today. Like, what's the issue? So I told her to leave. I remember being so numb. When the worst case is when they were trying to put the charges together. I remember hearing the judge say, well, under what grounds can we convict her to that? Is there any evidence? That's not going to stand. That's not going to stand. So they were like that from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. They didn't know what charges to put together to give me the 15 years. By that time, I want to say, it was a little bit before the last bus. So I had told them, like, hey, can you guys just hurry up? Whatever you guys want to smack together so I can get the fuck out of here. Like, I want to go back. I miss chow. I'm tired. I've been here all day. And by the time they called me back in to sentence, well, for me to sign, to take my charges, like, I was burnt out. Didn't care, just agreed with the judge. Okay. The judge had said it was an illegal sentence because one of my charges couldn't be ran concurrent. All my time was concurrent. So he knew I was going to go back when Sacramento picked it up. That right there, like, just hearing the things that they were talking about was, like, really mind-fucking. Like, how are you guys okay with doing this and this, and you guys are talking amongst each other, and you guys are saying that it's not going to stand, but you're okay with giving me that time? So I just took it. Didn't think nothing of it. Got back, didn't bother to call anybody. Was told I was going to be sentenced in October. Still don't remember from August to October. I was so high, like, just didn't want to face anything. Like, I just got washed up for free. And by this time, I do remember the day that the only thing that still sticks out of my memory is the DA telling me, "I'm so sorry, Jeanette. I know you weren't there, but since you're not cooperating, this is what we got to do." And just the fact that she knew a lot of that stuff that they were doing wasn't okay was like the nail in the coffin. Like, hasta aquí. Like, there's no reason to fight. The DA is not budging. The judge isn't budging. These cops aren't budging. So just take it, and we'll see what happens.
So pretty much, you ended up catching, this term because out of spite, because you didn't want to cooperate with the authorities.
Yes, out of spite. That, and then I feel like my brother's case played a big factor in it as well. My mom won a wrongful death lawsuit against Riverside County, against the sheriff being murdered in 2012. So by the time I picked up my time, I really do feel like it was malice prosecution.
Payback, yeah. So
yeah, been gone all these years for nothing.
The story, a lot of people, I've come across, some individuals that that it seems like, the system doesn't always get it
This
right.
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Doesn't get it right all the time, and a lot of the times they know, what it is, and they just turn a blind eye to the injustices that they're committing.
Yeah, and then there is no justice in our system. The county that I come from, it's a high conviction rate, but I know it's because a lot of us plead out because we don't want to take the chances of losing that trial. And it's not fair. Me being a first-time offender, me not wanting my family to get too involved, my boys' dad being in prison, I didn't have guidance. I didn't have no guidance. I really didn't know the system like that. So it was a lot harder. It was a lot harder for me to take, just to see and to know that I wasn't the only one being done like that. Was what was really, really hard.
Interesting fact out of Riverside County, and this fact was provided to me by one of our faithful viewers that goes by an ICEMAN, and he informed me that 10% of the death penalty cases that come from the state of California come from Riverside County.
I believe it.
Yep.
I believe it. Yeah. We get washed up. What's even more interesting is a year later, I was already in prison for a whole year when Sacramento caught my sentence. And I was being subpoenaed by a co-defendant to help him. I didn't know by this time that they had a mistrial, a hung jury, and that they were on their third time of being tried. I was kept in the dark the whole year that I was here because I did separate my case. So while I was there, that's when they resentenced me, dropped everything to 14 years. But then I was told by a new DA and my attorney that they knew I was innocent. They knew I wasn't there, but they didn't have to do what was right because I legally binded myself. So since I'm the one that offered my time and I'm the one that took my time, there was nothing they can do, or they didn't have to do anything to make it right. And this is...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
This is 3 years, almost 4 years into my co-defendant fighting the case. So that was another hard pill to swallow.
Damn, like that's cold right there.
Yeah. A single mom of 3 boys, never been in trouble a day in her life. I get it. I look thinged out. I have all the tattoos. I fit the description. But my rap sheet and what I look like, two different things. And to be told something like that, that's what's been really hard, you know? That was in 2021.
And we got 10 seconds before this call. Yeah. So if you call back, and then we could go ahead and get into your next part of your journey, getting resentenced and how much time you got. All right. So this is gonna be our first incarcerated woman calling in from a California prison. She should be calling back in the next moment or two. These calls, unfortunately, only last for 15 minutes. They are free, but they're limited down to 15 minutes. She's out in the yard, or in the yarda, as some would say, and that's what you could hear in the background and whatnot. Those voices or alarms going off, or prison stuff, prison noises, if you will. So a shout out, thank you, Selena. Appreciate the like. Who else has been giving some likes? I don't know, because I can't see them anymore. But if you gave us some likes, highly appreciate it. What do we have? We have 4,500 likes. We'll take anything we can get. It's Friday today. We're gonna be heading over to. I think we're gonna go see some Christmas lights. It's Christmas, December. My daughter enjoys those type of things, so we'll be out there. Maybe even ice skating. My wife was telling me she don't know how to ice skate, but I told her, hey, if you know how to rollerblade, then you should be able to ice skate, right? That's my thought on it, but I guess we'll figure it out today if I could get her to put some ice skates on, and make sure I have my phone ready, just in case I get some bloopers. Hey, what do you guys think about that individual that escaped from prison in Delano? I saw a video where the correction officer was chasing them. It looks like he couldn't keep up, and he actually drew his weapon, but he didn't pull the trigger, and he ran off. All right.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Garcia.
An incarcerated individual at the Central California Women's Facility, Chowchilla, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So you go back to court, and you mentioned that the DA is telling you that they knew that you weren't there. Are they saying this in open court, or are they telling you this behind the scenes? Where is it that they're making these comments at?
It's behind the scenes, pretty much. Me and my attorney talking, them trying to figure out what they're going to do with me. February 5th of 2021, I was still in the belief that they were going to do what was right and pretty much give me time served, because I was willing to hold a conviction. But no, that's not how things went. I was sent back to prison August 2021. Yeah.
And and then as far as like the 14 years, did you have any say on it? Were you able to counter anything, or they were just like pretty much, hey, this is we're gonna change your
No.
sentence to 14, and that's that.
Yeah, that's it. This is all we're doing for you. Yeah.
In that moment there, would you
That's
consider it like a bittersweet moment? Because technically you got that life sentence removed, and now you had you had an out date. So what was your feeling on that whole getting your sentence changed?
I didn't care. I was just mad.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how you're telling me that you have evidence and proof that I'm innocent, and you're still sending me back to prison. I stayed mad for a couple of years after that. I want to say this past year has been the year that I've been kind of getting over it, but I know I should have been grateful and thankful, but at the time I felt like, damn, it's been, for me not being there, for you guys knowing what you guys know, don't you guys think this is enough already? Like, even though now I do see it as a blessing in disguise, I feel like I've still been here for a reason. But at the time, no. At the time, I was really mad. I couldn't wrap my head around being told what I was told and them not doing anything about it.
So when you get back to prison, so how's prison compared to the county jail? I know earlier on you mentioned the county jail was filthy. Were those the same living standards in prison?
No, not at all. I came back to prison mad. I wasn't on the yard for 5 minutes when I took off on the cops and decided to go to AdSeg the same day that I got here. I was really upset. AdSeg's no better. AdSeg's a lot dirtier. I feel like being institutionalized, being down a minute, you get OCD. Things have to be done a certain way. So that played like a big role of pretty much like keeping my sanity. Portering, we call it portering. In county they call it a trustee, but it's where we help keep the unit clean. So my little shoe term, that was my first shoe term. Not that I didn't have in county. I fought a lot while I was there fighting for my case. I fought a lot, and I was in the hole a lot in county. Got in trouble a lot. But getting here, being away from population was easier for me. I was able to run my own program, keep my cell clean, because here in Chowchilla, it's an 8-man cell. It's not nothing like the men's prison where it's either dorm living or 2-man cell. Here, the whole prison, each room, each cell is 8 people to a cell. So I was already here for a year. You run into people that have been down 30 years. They have a certain way of living, and you pick up from them the do's and don'ts, the what's okay, what's not okay. So by the time I came back, when I feel institutionalized already. So the way that I ran my program was a lot different than what other people are used to. Being in county so long, fighting my case for the amount of time that I did. The COVID had hit, so I stayed from 2020 to 2021 in county while I was subpoenaed. So even getting another case of having to be 10 times cleaner because there's this horrible virus going around was another little eye-opener of how different the two places are from one another. But I feel like the type of person that I am, the way that I do my time, it's been hard to do time with other people because I was so used to being in county for so long. I was so used to running the program that I ran, cleaning all day, every day. County's dirty, prison is no better, but if you land in a room where people hold the same standards as you, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I can't imagine, having to deal with 8 different or 7 different, personalities in the same dorm or room. That's it seems like it's like a minefield, because you gotta everybody has different ways of being. So how were you
Yeah, you
able to?
have to,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
and that's the hard part is having to adjust to people's way of living. I got schooled by an old timer. She was a long-termer P baby when I first got here, so she showed me the ropes, and I pick up fast. I pick up real fast. So I thank her for the little bit of time that I was around her, for the big impact that she had on me. Um, she says back in the day, long-termers, lifers, and people that have been down in me to look out for each other. So she showed me the ropes.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you were fortunate, to get that old timer, to look out for you and give you that information.
Yes.
Man. So and then you know what? Another thing is, you got people's bodies changing. They're going through things, and in menopause. You got people going through menopause and things like that, and not to say, and that just popped up to my mind, because once you get into your 40s, women's bodies change, and man, I mean,
Yeah. And you got these crazy mood swing having ass older females that you can't say nothing to them because either they get to crying, yelling. It's interesting. It's interesting the things that you see here. I
yeah,
tell my sister, God has a big sense of humor because I didn't have a lot of girlfriends growing up.
hmm,
The same friends that I've had were my friends my whole life.
yeah.
So I've always felt like I don't like women too much, but having to be placed here with nothing but women and the occasional transgenders that we have has been
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it really has been really interesting seeing the things that we see here.
Let me hold on. Let me pull you back right here now. So you said, transgenders. Is that individuals that have had gender reassignment surgeries, or are these still individuals that have, they still have the male body parts that are housed there with you guys?
It's a bit of both. We have the women transitioning to men, and we have men transitioning to women. But you also have the ones that just identify as women that have the whole male anatomy part still attached that live here.
So do they have like a
Yeah.
special, like, so let's say somebody's they were born a male. Do they keep them in an 8-man cell, with people that are alike, or do they just integrate everybody?
They integrate everybody. We have no choice. We have no choice at all. I don't know what the bill is that was passed where if a man identifies as a woman, he doesn't have to have, or preferably she doesn't have to have the surgery to be placed here. As long as they identify as a female, they go through the process, don't get me wrong, of having to take hormones and all of that to pretty much to me is to give them ED so they don't get the women pregnant if their case really is them trying to become a woman. But no, they when it first started, I want to say they kept them on A yard, our reception yard, away from us.
Hmm.
But as of a few years ago, they just started mixing them with us, regular general pop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now
So
that's
that's another hard thing to deal with. Yes, that's another hard thing to deal with because there's a lot of women that have faced a lot of traumas in their life here, and to be housed with, regardless of anything, a woman born a man, they're bigger, they're taller, they're a lot stronger than
stronger.
us,
Yeah.
and to live in that and that fear of, okay, well, does he have his male part still? Because a lot of them, just because they identify as a woman doesn't mean that that's what they're trying to do. And we feel like a lot of them have, probably 2 out of a handful do consider themselves a woman, but the other ones just come and do their time over here to be around women, especially when they're washed up.
You know what? So for this topic, we're definitely gonna have to start off from a fresh one. But right now, so I just looked at the clock.
Yes.
It's gonna be it's already 1 o'clock. So I got some prior commitments.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and schedule something up for in the next few days if you're available, so we could go ahead and continue on this topic and get into your whole prison experience and where you're at in your life, the changes that you've made and if you cleaned up and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the good out of the bad.
Yeah.
Good out of all this bad. I got you.
So
thank you so much for having me on, Jane.
Man, no, hey, thank you. I appreciate like I had mentioned you off the air that I've been trying to get a hold of women that are incarcerated, but it's definitely been hard, to make that connection. So, once again, shout out to you, shout out to Thumper, for making this happen. And I'm interested. I'm ready to get into this whole topic, especially with the men in prison, because I don't think that's right. Like if you're there, to serve your time. It's wrong, and I definitely want to shed some light on that, and on the next phone call we're definitely gonna get into that.
I have a lot. Yeah, I have a lot to say on that topic as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of more women here that would agree with you, that agree with me. We have Pleasant Valley across the street. It's a male's prison. They should have their own yard over there.
Yeah.
There's no reason why. There's no reason why they should be housed here. The prison is literally across the street from us, so they should be housed over there and keep this an all-women's prison, born a woman, not transforming into a woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get on that subject another day.
All right,
There's
sure.
a lot to talk about with that.
So I do appreciate
Again,
you.
Thank you so much, James.
Thank you. And then I'm going to go ahead and say my outro. And it goes like this. Life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out. Thank you, guys. And you guys have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
You,
You're welcome.
enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ay, ay, ay.